Good afternoon, hello, welcome. Everyone, take your seats. Who's this? Sit down. Good, any last shout-outs? I can see Mr. Bostock said he can hear very well. Great, thank you so much for coming to this. These events are so brilliant. And I've got publishers jumping over me wanting to bring their authors here. So it's kind of imperative that local schools can support, because you're the ones who can walk here. But listen, thank you so much. I think most of you know who Maddie Moate is, don't you? You've all seen her on the CBBS channel, haven't you? She's brilliant, isn't she? I'm getting lots of yeses. Online, tell us if you're doing online lot, keep shouting out and I'll keep giving you shout outs as well. But anyway, without further ado, can we welcome to the stage the brilliant Maddie Moate.
Hello, everyone! Okay, we're not in school. We can be louder than that. I said hello, everyone! Hello! Wow! What a welcome. Now, I need you all to do me a massive favor, because we are not alone. There is actually a huge audience watching all of us online right now. So can you all take a look at that camera in the corner? It's up there. And can you say hello to everyone watching at home? Hello! Hi. So hello to everyone watching, of course, in schools around the country. I know, we're all on camera. How exciting. But my name is Maddie, and it is my pleasure to meet all of you. Thank you so much for welcoming me here to Tring, and of course to our bookshop for having me. Now, this is very exciting for me because this is the first time I have had the opportunity to talk to anybody about my brand new book, How Does It Work? Let me hear you say, ooh. Yeah, I know, it's great, right? So much fun. But before we dive into the pages of my book and I tell you a bit more about it, let's get to know each other a little bit more. So it's possible some of you might have watched the programs that I've made on TV over the years. I'm seeing some nods. Okay, hands up if you've ever watched a channel called CBBS, ever. Yeah, if you've watched it maybe in the past. Brilliant, fantastic. What about you at home? Yeah, watching in schools, you might have seen it too. Okay, hands up if you have ever watched a program called Maddie's Do You Know? Anyone seen that? Yeah, some of you have seen it. Brilliant. Okay, that is great news. So Maddie's Do You Know is a show that I host on CBBS and have done for loads of years. And that show sees me exploring factories, farms, workshops, and I try to answer lots of questions. I like to find out how things are made and how things work. So tell me, do you like to ask lots of questions? Yeah? Yeah, you do? You do? Teachers, grown-ups, do they like to ask questions all the time? So great, that's brilliant. So that means I am in a room full of curious people. And that's really awesome because you know what? I actually think that if you like to ask questions about the world around you, then that makes all of you scientists, because that's what scientists do. Scientists ask questions about the world around them. They notice things and they try to find answers. So I love science. I love finding out how things work. So it is a pleasure to be in a room with people who feel exactly the same way. So let me tell you a little bit more about Do You Know for anyone who might not have seen it. So this is the show here. And with Do You Know, I've got to do some really cool things, all in the name of science and sharing my love of finding out how things work with people like yourself. So I've done all sorts. I've been able to find out how helicopters work by going up in the air. I've been to lots of different factories, including toilet factories. That was the first factory I ever went to, was finding out how toilets are made. Where else? Oh, hot air balloons. I found out how hot air balloons are made, how they work, and what was able to go up in one of those, and also drive around in things like fire engines. But I don't just make television programs. I also have a YouTube channel. Now, my YouTube channel is where I like to travel. My YouTube channel takes me all over the world in search of interesting answers to curious questions. And with YouTube, I've been able to go on safari and asked questions about wild animals. I've climbed to the top of the highest mountain in Africa, Mount Kilimanjaro. Just last year, I went to Iceland to find out how you can bake bread in a frozen lake. Seems weird, right? But you can. Super interesting. And also, I've done a lot of scuba diving as well. So all of these things have taken me around the world on adventures, and I love to share my findings with you. But the thing is, actually, some of the most interesting things that I have found out over the years have actually been really close to home. It's all very well being able to, travel the world, but actually it's often the objects that we see and use every single day that can be the most interesting. And these are the objects that I wanted to celebrate in my book, How Does It Work? So I'm just going to read a little bit of the introduction for all of you so I can tell you a bit more about it. Here we go. So every day we use all kinds of objects, machines and technology, and I'm constantly asking, how does it work? So in this book, I have set out to find answers to these questions and many more, and my favourite way to learn about the world is to go on adventures. But an adventure doesn't mean having to travel to faraway places. You can go on adventures in your local area, with your friends and family, even in your home. Adventures can be big or small. All you need is a big dollop of curiosity. So as we turn the pages in this book, we are going to go on 4 adventures, each with its own mission. And while learning how everyday things around us work, we're also going to be searching for hidden objects. We'll be spotting differences, solving mazes, and helping with puzzles. Do you think that sounds fun? Yeah? Lots of games? Brilliant. So what are we waiting for? I think we should start looking at this book a little closer. Now, the 4 different adventures we go on the book, you can sort of see them here. The first adventure is called Race Around the House, and we have to find the missing parts of a remote control car and put them back together again. The second adventure, the Birthday Party Dash. For this one, we have to find things we need for a birthday party. And then we've also got the School Trip Catastrophe, when we have to find someone to help us rescue a cat that's stuck up a tree in the school playground. And then finally, we have the Great Holiday Adventure, which is where we travel across the ocean and we go camping and we find out lots of things about the different objects we see and do. But we can't do all of that today. We just don't have enough time. So I have picked 3 objects from the book. I'm going to talk about them and we're going to have some fun and play some games, just like you would do if you were reading the book today. So the 3 things that we are going to ask ourselves today are here. We are going to ask, how do smart speakers work? How do television screens work? And how do rockets work? Now, you might not find a space rocket at home, but I did think that we should end with a bang, don't you think? Yeah, I think we should close off with something big and exciting. So before we start finding out how a smart speaker works and we look into our first question, I want to get us all moving a little bit, and that includes everybody who is watching online as well. So I think that sometimes a good way to look and find out how an object or a machine works is by thinking about the way it moves. So we are all going to get moving. And these are some of the different ways that machines can move. So the first one I've got here, can you see the first arrow? It's like a straight line. So some machines move in a straight line. So can I see you all doing that movement for me now if you're able to? Here we go. Yes. So we're moving just in a straight line. So start thinking, what kind of machines move straight, in a straight line? That's what we'd call that sort of motion. Another type of motion that we might see in a machine is spinning, or something moving in a circle. That's it. I want to see you doing this online at home. There we go. Okay, so have a think. What machines can you think of that spin or make circular movements like this? That's it. Great. Keep them in your head for now. All right, the next one. Now, the next one, I call this a back and forth or a longer and shorter. You've already got the moves. Yes, there we go. So let's see this. That's it. So it's back and forward, almost like you're punching the air. Very good. So think, what sort of machines might move like this? They might move slowly, or they might move really fast. Faster. Can you do as fast as possible? Even faster. Stop. Great. Okay, and then the last movement we've got for our machines is actually swinging like this. If you want to do it fast, or you could even swing like, hang on, how do you do it? There you go, you could even swing like that as well. So you can swing up high or swing down low, I don't mind. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. I'm going to show you some different machines, and I want you to show me with your actions how you think they move. And we can work this out together, and it will tell us a little bit about how these things work. All right then, are you ready? Because we're going to do this with some music as well. In fact, why don't we all get up on our feet if you're able to? That's it, let's get some energy. If you're watching at school in classrooms, that's it, up you get. And here we go, this is the first one. Now we've got some music already. So the first one, we've got a train. What do you think? Does the train, not the wheels, but the train itself, how do you think it moves? Do you think it goes up and down, or do you think it goes straight forward? Yeah? That's it. All right, so we've got that straightforward motion. Brilliant, very good. Next one, a washing machine. How does a washing machine move? That's it, spinning, very good. The drum is spinning round. Next one, this is hard. It's a crane. Now, do you think a crane is going, yes, longer and shorter? Fantastic. Let's get that music up if we can do. Brilliant. And now how about swings? What do the swings do? Yeah! Brilliant. All right, so you've got those ones right. And next up is a smoothie maker. What does a smoothie maker do? It's a mixing machine. Yes, so it mixes around. Okay, next one, a digger. How does a digger move? Yes, the arm goes back and forward. Very good. All right, grandfather clock. What do you think? It's got a pendulum that swings. Yeah, I see you swinging your arms in the air. Nice. And we've got one more, which is a conveyor belt. Now, what do you think of a conveyor belt? How does a conveyor belt move? Like this, in a nice straight line. I think you're all right. Give yourselves a huge round of applause and take a seat. That was great. Brilliant work, everyone. That was great. So we just got all of our actions there. Thank you. So there we go. We're already thinking about different machines and how those machines work. And that now brings us on to our first question. So you lot take a breather and I'll carry on out of breath up here. But our first question here is, how do smart speakers work? Now this here is a type of smart speaker. Hands up if you've heard of a smart speaker before. Yeah? Okay, hands down. And now hands up if you have a smart speaker or have used one before. Yeah, great. So a smart speaker, something like this, an Echo Dot is one of them. The idea is a speaker, but you can ask it things. And inside the speaker is something called a virtual assistant that can search the internet and find out information for you. Anyway, I'm going to go out into the audience, actually. Does anyone use a smart speaker at home, maybe? Yeah? What type of things do you ask it? Anyone want to tell us? Share it here. What type of things do you ask it?
A bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Like what? Like what? What do you ask it?
What time it is.
What time it is? Yeah, me too. I ask it that a lot. What do you ask it?
I ask it what its favourite animal is, and it says, I think it's like a whale.
A whale? Oh, right. So if you actually ask the smart speaker what its favourite animal is, it has an opinion. Like, that's quite impressive, right? Because that's just, it's not a real thing, but someone has decided that smart speaker has a favourite animal. One more, go on. What do you like to ask a smart speaker? Or what do you ask it?
To play my favourite playlist.
Play your favourite playlist. That's right. So you can ask smart speakers to play music. Now, the thing about a smart speaker is that it's a type of machine that uses two things. It combines something called hardware and software to work. And it's quite useful for us to find out what the difference is between hardware or software. So I've got a little description from my book just here. So hardware, now these are the parts of a computer or a gadget that you can actually see and touch. And then software is a computer program that acts a bit like a set of instructions to tell a piece of hardware what to do. So hardware is the physical thing, and software is the computer program or the instructions that we can find inside it. But they're invisible to us. They exist on a computer or like a tiny little computer chip. So to try and help us understand the differences between hardware or software, I've got a little game for all of us here. So on the screen, you should be able to see some different pictures. And I want us to decide whether we think these things are examples of hardware or software. So the first one we have is a speaker. We call this part of the speaker the cone. Now, if you think it's hardware, I want you to put your hands in the air. If you think it's software, keep your hands down. So the speaker cone, do you think it's hardware or software? That's it. Hands up if you think it's hardware. Great. I'm going to show you the answers afterwards. But that's brilliant. Okay, the next one next to it. Now, this is the picture in the middle at the top. This is a picture of, it's my, I guess, a representation of a virtual assistant. So something like Siri or Alexa, the type of things we might ask questions of. Do you think that's hardware or software? Hands down for software, hands up for hardware. So if you think it's hardware, so hardware is a physical thing, and then software is something...
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the connection. Please try again in a moment.
Right. So what has just happened is I have just said the name of the virtual assistant on my laptop, and my laptop is now trying to talk to me. So I can't say certain things in this room because my own virtual assistant is getting triggered. So ignore that. Right, let's move onwards then. So a toaster, hardware or software? What do you reckon? Hardware? Something you can physically touch, would you agree? Yeah, great. Minecraft. Do you think Minecraft is hardware or software? What do you think? You know what? Shout it out. I think that's better. Yeah, that's it. Minecraft isn't a real place. You can't touch it. It's a game. It's something that we play on a console or on a computer. Okay, but what about a screen? A television screen or a monitor? Hardware or software? Let's try again. So remember, hardware is something that is real, something we can physically touch and see. So do you think a television screen is hardware or software? Not quite. So software is an invisible program. It's a computer program. Hardware is something we can touch or see. So this here, am I touching it? Yeah? I can physically interact with it. There's a screen over here. Can I touch this? So that means it's hardware because we can physically interact with it. But I can't touch Minecraft, can I? Because Minecraft exists on the internet, and that's what makes it software. So what about Netflix? We watch Netflix on a piece of hardware, but Netflix is... There we go. Great, so that is the difference. So now let's think a little bit more about smart speakers. And for this, I'm going to read a little piece from my book. Here we go. So a smart speaker uses both hardware and software, and they work together to make the speaker pretty smart. Now, when you say the wake word, so these are the words that wake the speaker up, the microphone inside the smart speaker will capture the sound. Now, the microphones inside a smart speaker like this one, they don't look like the microphones that I'm holding. They're teeny tiny little chips. You can see just here on the picture that those arrows are pointing to two tiny little blocks. Those are the microphones. So we've said the wake word. The microphones are now activated and they are listening. And when this happens, the software inside, that's our virtual assistant. That's the voice that we hear that answers our questions. It recognizes the wake word and it wakes up. And we normally know that it's awake. We normally know that it's listening because it makes a kind of bleep or a bloop, or it might even say, hello. So we know that the software is listening. Now, this part of the smart speaker understands our questions. Now, in our smart speaker here, the virtual assistant is called Ada. Now, I've called it Ada because Ada is actually the name of the first person to design a computer program. She was a really awesome mathematician from the past. So if we wanted to wake up the smart speaker in the room with us today, we say, hey there, Ada. So can I hear you say, hey, Ada? Excellent. Now, when we do that, the software now is listening, and then we can ask it a question. We might ask her, what's the time? We might ask it to play our favorite song. It listens to that command. The software will then search the internet. It will have a little think, and then it will tell us the answer through the speaker, through the hardware physical part. That's how we can hear it. So I reckon we should practice this together. Now, I'm about to put a script on the screen, and I would love you to read it with me. And we're going to see if we can make our smart speaker work. So here we go. All together now. 3, 2, 1. Hey! Brilliant. So we have just woken up the smart speaker. Now we're going to ask it a question. Now I'll say it first and then you can repeat after me, okay? Ada, play the song, I Like to Move It, Move It.
Sure. Here's the song, I Like to Move It, Move It.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move
Let's
it.
turn it up.
I like to move it.
All right, I reckon we should get some volume in the room.
I like to
Can I see your moves from earlier?
I like to move it, move it. I like to.
Let's see you spinning like a
I
machine.
like to move it, move it.
And
I
in
like
the
to
air,
move
swing
it,
it
move it. I like to move it, move it.
What else do
I
we
like
do?
to move it.
All right, okay.
I like
Ada, stop. Stop. That was pretty good, right? Okay, but so we now know how to wake up the virtual assistant. So we know how to wake up Ada and get the software working. But how is it that you are able to listen to the sound? So for that, we have to think, how does sound travel? How does sound leave this speaker and make it to your ears all the way at the back of the room, or even to those of you who are listening and watching online? Well, this is all to do with the way that sound moves. Now, we're actually going to try and make something called a sound wave in the room today to help us understand. So when we think about sound and the way it moves, we're going to start with the speaker itself. So inside our smart speaker, we have this part, which is called the cone. Now, that cone moves back and forth like this, really, really fast, thanks to some magnets. These magnets are turned on and off with electricity. And as the magnets are turned on and off, they push and pull the cone. And that makes the cone move like this. Now, as the cone moves, it ends up pushing the air in front of the cone. And that makes those air molecules move. But then those air molecules, the little bits that make up air, they bump into the next load of air molecules. And then they bump into the next load of air molecules. And guess what? They bump into the next load of air molecules. And it's this wave of moving air, which is how sound is able to travel from the moving speaker all the way to your ears. And when your ears receive those moving air molecules, your brain then sort of turns that movement into sound. But we can actually make a sound wave in the audience right now. So let's imagine that the speaker is right here. The speaker is moving because it's making a sound. It's moving up and down, and that's disturbing the air molecules. And that makes our front row here in the room move. So I want you to put your arms up like this. That's it. Just the front row. Just the front row. That's it. But that movement has then made the air molecules behind them move. So now I want the second row to move your arms like this. And guess what? That makes the third row move your arms like that. And the fourth row, and the fifth row, and the sixth row, and the top, and all the way to the back. So if we do that quickly, we can make a sound wave. With the speaker is playing music, the cone is moving up and down, and that starts to bump into the air molecules, and it creates a wave like this. Go! Oh, very good. I think we can do one better. Let's see another sound wave. 3, 2, 1. All right, now I want to see what happens if we do both sound waves and some music at the same time. So let's wake up Ada again. Ready, everyone? Great.
Sure. Here's the song, I Like to Move It, Move It.
I like to move
All
it,
right,
move
let's
it.
see
I
let's
like
see
to
some waves.
move it, move it.
Ready, hang on,
I
wait
like
for
to
it.
move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
That was great. Give yourselves a round of applause. How cool was that? That was so good. Now, I hope that anybody who's watching online, I hope you had a go at making your own sound waves too, because that was brilliant. So there you go. That is how a smart speaker works, using both software, the virtual assistant part of the speaker, and the speaker itself, and how the sound travels from the speaker to your ears, which is great. Now, this brings us to our next question. All right, so the next question, everyone, is how do television screens work? So I'm not thinking about Netflix or YouTube or iPlayer. So I'm not thinking about what you watch on TV, but how the actual screen itself works. I want us to think, how is it that a screen is able to show us pictures, moving pictures of the things that we see and like to watch? So let's have a little read of another part of my book. Here we go. So when the television is turned off, the screen is black. But when we press the on button, the remote control sends an instruction to the screen and a picture appears. So the screens on televisions, smartphones, tablets, or even my laptop or the computer screen over there, now they are made up of thousands of tiny squares that we call pixels. Has anybody heard that word before? Pixels? Yeah? Great. Okay, hands down, hands down. Now, each of these pixels is made up of 3 different color lights called subpixels, and they are red, green, and blue. So if we look here, you can see we've got the pixels, all of those little squares, and then in every single pixel, we have our red, green, and blue subpixel. Now, when all 3 lights, all 3 little subpixels, are turned right down, so we turn the brightness right down, they look black because there's no light coming from them at all. But when those subpixels, when those 3 different color lights are turned up to different levels, they are able to create millions of different colors. So it's quite impressive that using only red, green, and blue at different levels, we're able to create lots and lots of different pictures. But if we were to just focus on just one pixel whilst we're watching television, we would see the little subpixels in that pixel moving around a little bit like a disco. But when we zoom out and we see all of the pixels together, that's when they come together to make a bigger picture, the things that we watch on the screens, whether that's a laptop or a tablet or a smartphone. And now I can actually show you these subpixels using this. So this here is a little microscope camera. Now, I love to use special cameras to help explain how things work. So we're going to use this to see if we can look up close at the pixels and maybe even the subpixels on my screen. So let's see. I'll show you this next slide. Here we go. Now, if you see on the projector right now on the screen, we can see that there's a section that is black, there is a section that is white, and there is a section that's very colourful. Now, in the middle, this is the microscope. So I can show you my skin there, yeah? Wow. So that's my skin you're seeing really close up. I'm now going to put this microscope on my screen, and I want you to see if you can see all of those subpixels. You ready? Okay, so first of all, I'm going to turn it right, I'm going to put it on the white. Wow. So can you see that? So what you are looking at right now are hundreds and thousands of pixels, but inside each little square, you can see the subpixels, can't you? You can see red, green, and you can just about see some blue. Now, right now, the microscope is on the white part of that picture that you're seeing. But if I move my microscope over to the black part of the picture, what do you think we're going to see? Because if the screen looks black, we know that all of those subpixels are turned down. So here we go. They've gone, aren't they? All you can see now, really, is just the glass. All that is the glass reflecting back. But if I move over, there you go. Now you can see the subpixels again. But remember, if those subpixels are turned up or turned down, we can make millions of different colors. So if I now move the microscope over to the colorful part, you can now see how they're turned up or down to create lots and lots of different colors. How cool is that? Isn't that interesting? So right now I can move over to the pink. There we go. Maybe you can tell me what bit am I looking at here? What bit do you reckon? Yeah, it's just the car there at the bottom. And all of those little subpixels that are turned up to different levels inside the pixels are actually, when we add them together, we're able to see a much bigger picture. Just like the part of How Does It Work that you can see there. So there you go. That is how pictures are shown to us on television screens. And we understand how lots of pixels make a bigger picture. And the more pixels in a picture, the more detail there's going to be. So I reckon we should play a little bit of a game. So this is a game I call Pixel Guess, or Guess the Pixels. So I'm going to show you some images. And at first, those images aren't going to be made up of that many pixels. So they won't have much information. But over time, more and more pixels are going to get added, so the picture will become clearer. Don't worry, this will make sense in a second. I want you to shout out when you think you know what object the picture is. Okay? We're not in school, so you can shout it out as soon as you think you know what it is. Here we go. Let's play Pixel Guess. Let's have some volume. Here we go. What do you think it is? It's not a race car. Do you think it's a tractor? Did you get it right? Did you get it right? Brilliant. Next one. It was a tractor. Okay, this time, just put your hand up when you think you know what it is. Okay, I'm going to go out into the audience. What do you think it is? It's not a bike. Keep looking, keep looking. What do you think it is?
A fire.
Oh, it's not a fire. What is it? What is it? What is it?
A digger.
It is a digger! Well done! Brilliant. So that one was digger. Well done if you got that one nice and fast. Next one. Who thinks they know what it is?
Feel free to put it in the chat box if any of those watching
It's
virtually.
not a cat. Great guess. Keep looking. It's not a dog. Keep looking. What do you think it is?
Camera.
Yeah! There we go. Who guessed camera? Did you get it nice and fast? Great. Okay, I think we've got two more.
Long before.
Okay, let's have a look. Who thinks they know what it is? Let's see if you can get it really fast. Go on.
Rain.
Oh, no. Good guess, though.
Windmill.
Yes! That was fast. It is a windmill, wind turbine. Brilliant. Last one. Go on, what do you think it is?
A toilet.
Oh, no, it's not a toilet, but it is something you'd find in your house. Yeah? Oh, that's okay. It's a toughie. Go on. Well done!
Keep guessing.
We've got it. What is it?
Dishwasher.
Give yourselves a round of applause. Don't you see? So the more pixels that got added to the image, the clearer it became, and then we had more detail so we could work out what it was. Well done on dishwasher. You got that super, super fast. That was awesome. So we've got one more question to answer together as a group, and then we're going to go to some questions from you in the room, but also online as well, or questions that have been sent in. And our last question we're doing today is, how do rockets work? Anyone else here like to learn about space like me? Yeah? You up there, do you like to learn about space? Me too. So to find out how rockets work, first of all, I'd like you to watch a video of a rocket blasting into space. And I want you to notice what you can see, because I'm going to ask you some questions afterwards.
Falcon Heavy is configured for flight.
T-minus 15, stand by for terminal count.
10, 9, 8,
Side booster ignition.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Feels fucking heavy.
How awesome. Look at it go. Okay, that'll do. So, I would put your hands up if you can tell me something you noticed about that video. Something that you could see. I'm going to go out into the audience here. Hey,
Fire.
fire. Yeah. And what else did you see with the fire? What the fire? There was lots of something else as well, wasn't there? What was that? Hey, yeah. Do you want to tell me?
Smoke.
Yeah. Lots of smoke. Lots of gas. Do you see lots and lots of gas coming out the bottom of the rocket? All right, hands down, everyone. Now, that is actually a clue as to how a rocket works. But I couldn't fit a space rocket here, sadly. I couldn't bring one with me. The bookshop wouldn't have it in there. Amongst all the books, it wouldn't be safe. But I can show you how a rocket works using a balloon. Bear with me. I've got a question for Ben here. Ben, if I was to let go of this balloon, what do you think would happen?
It would take off.
You think it would take off? If you were to hold your hand out and I was to let go of this balloon, what would happen to the air inside?
It would then hit my hand.
And do you think that air would pull on your hand or push on your hand?
Push.
Do you think he's right? So we all think that if I let go of this balloon, the air is going to whoosh out the bottom and push on Ben's hand. Would you agree? Well, let's find out then, shall we? For this, actually, Ben, would you like to come up here? Then everyone at home can see as well. Ben didn't know he was going to do this, by the way. All right, I think we need a 3, 2, 1 blast off, don't you reckon? All right, here we go then. 3. Whoa! Ben was right. Give him a round of applause. Thank you, Ben. So, hang on. So what happened there? When I let go, all of the air inside the balloon, it whooshed out. That air pushed down on Ben's hand, and the rocket, our balloon, went up, didn't it? Now it kind of went everywhere, yeah. But that's because in science, every action has an opposite reaction. So the air pushes down and the rocket goes in the other direction. And it's the same thing that happens with a space rocket, just like you've seen on that video. Inside that rocket is loads of fuel, rocket fuel. And when that rocket fuel is burned, it makes a chemical reaction that creates lots and lots and lots of gas. All of that gas whooshes out of the rocket. And we could see that, couldn't we? We could see it coming out of the bottom of the rocket in loads and loads of clouds. And as the gas pushes down, the rocket goes up. But that wasn't a very big rocket, was it? It was a tiny balloon. So if we wanted our rocket in here to go further, what would we need to do? What do you think? I'm going to ask the audience here. What do you think we need?
We need more air.
We would need more air. What else might help? What else might help? Hey, yeah.
Maybe blow it a bit harder.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So a bit more air. The rocket was kind of small. What do you think?
A bigger balloon.
You think we need a bigger balloon? Okay. What about one that big? Yeah? Should we give this one a go? All right. Okay, but hang on. I'm not going to do this one myself. Hang on. Shall I stop? No?
I think I'm getting lots of comments online. Yeah. The online crowd is saying on. Noah says blow the boom bigger.
What, Ben? What did the people watching online think?
They want it bigger, yeah.
They wanted it bigger as well. Okay, so here's the thing. Why have one rocket when you could have two? Ben, go on, bring on our second rocket. Okay, so remember, here is how a rocket works. If this was an actual rocket, inside we would have rocket fuel. That rocket fuel would mix and it would create an explosion, would have a chemical reaction. That explosion would make lots and lots of gas. The gas would whoosh down. It would push down as it left the rocket, and as the gas whooshes down, the rocket goes up. We now have more gas. So these rockets should go for further, shouldn't they? They should travel for a lot longer. Now, Ben is just getting his ready. You ready for it? Okay. This time, we are going to let go of the rockets. I don't know where they're going to go, but let's try and keep them in the air if we can. And let's do a 3, 2, 1 blast off. You watching online as well. All together. 3. So there you go. That is how rockets and very big balloons work. Thank you so much, Tring. This was brilliant. Now, before we wrap things up today, we do have time for a few questions. Ben, I'm going to let you be the question master.
Yeah.
So over to you.
Let's do a couple online, then we'll take a couple in the audience. So,
okay, great.
And can we have those balloons back? Because Maddie wants to use us again.
Yeah.
Right, so some great questions came in. Me and school, Marie Claire sent these in. Great question. Sort of two here, actually. What is your favourite machine and what's your favourite invention?
Ooh, good ones. Okay, question was, what is my favourite machine and my favourite invention? Okay, so, thanks, mate. Right, okay, right, so my favourite machine is, there are two actually. Now these are machines that I've been lucky to see in factories that I visited with Do You Know. The first one is, I can't believe, this is very random, but is the sock ironing machine. So at a sock factory, once a sock has been made, it is placed on what looks like a metal foot, but that metal foot is really, really hot, and then it goes round what is essentially a massive hairdryer. And what that's doing is ironing out the sock. But it's very funny to see lots and lots of metal feet just going round and round a factory as they're going through a hairdryer to heat them up. So the sock ironing machine was one of my favourites. And the other one is an apple sorting machine. Now, an apple sorting machine, it almost looks like a little step ladder, and the apples sort of hop up the step ladder as they are arranged into different sizes. So there you go. Very random, but look them up on the internet.
Thank you, Means, for those questions. Let's do one from St. Louis School in Aylesbury. What is your favourite book?
Oof, okay, my favourite book. That's very, very hard to answer because there are so many different types of book, right? But as a child, one of my favourite books was Where's Wally? Anyone seen that? Anyone read it? Watched it? Yeah? Nice. So I loved Where's Wally because I liked that you could read postcards about Wally's travels. And I always wanted to travel. I'm so lucky I get to do it now. But I also love noticing things. And back then when I was young, I didn't realise that this was a scientific skill, being able to notice and look for things. I loved it. But I also loved a book called The Jolly Pocket Postman. Now, The Jolly Pocket Postman is about a postman that travels around different fairy tale characters delivering letters. And I loved opening up the letters and reading the different postcards inside.
Nice. We'll do one more online question.
Sure.
And if you put your hand up in the audience, make sure you've got a question, okay? South Hetton Primary, Frankie asks, how do you know how so many things work?
Great question, Frankie. The answer is, I don't. I don't know how lots and lots of things work. My show is called Do You Know? The answer is not often. Because actually, I am not a scientist. I'm just like you. I am just someone who likes to ask questions about the world and go in search of answers. I speak to scientists, I speak to experts, and they are the ones who are trying to work out how things work. So my answer to Frankie is, I'm just lucky to get to meet lots of people, explore lots of places, and find answers to things I'm curious about. And then I just try to remember as much of it as I possibly can, so I can share it with people like you.
Okay, in the last minute we've got, do you want to take the microphone into the audience and just ask a few questions?
Oh gosh, this is so hard. Hi, go for it.
What do you like about travelling?
What do I like about travelling? I feel like I've mentioned that a lot today. The question, what do I like about travelling? For me, it's an opportunity to see new places, meet new people, and find out how people live in different ways all around the world. I think we can learn a lot about ourselves, and also we can learn a lot about how the world works when we travel. It also reminds us of quite how small the world is and how connected we all are. And I think sometimes if we stopped to remember how connected everything and everybody is, maybe we would do some stuff a little bit differently. Maybe we would take care of ourselves and the planet a bit better, actually. Okay.
Should we do one more? Make it a good one, guys.
Here we go. John, the question.
Who's got a good question?
Where's your favourite factory that you've been to?
Lovely. Where is my favourite factory? So, I do have lots of different answers for this, but one of my favourite factories was actually a bread factory. Now, this is somewhere... Oh, I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you two different factories, okay? So, in England, it was a bread factory. This factory makes 320,000 loaves of bread a day. And it smells great, for a start. It smells wonderful, all of that baking bread. But it's amazing to see 320,000 loaf tins, every single one of them on a conveyor belt, just making its way around an oven about the size of 6 double-decker buses. It's a lot of bread to be made in one day. And my other favourite factory is actually a factory in Thailand. So this is in a very different part of the world, in Indonesia. But in Thailand, there is a factory that make paper out of elephant poo. And I know. And I've actually made a video on YouTube which shows you how this factory are turning something that's a waste product, elephant poo, into paper. And it is very smart, very clever, because it's actually a very sustainable way to make paper. And I found it so interesting, so those are probably my two favourites.
Brilliant. Can I thank you all, everyone who's watched online and everyone who has come and joined us in here. Can I thank you so much? But most importantly, can I have a huge thank you to Maddie for coming here today. Thank you.
Thank you to my assistant. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. So Maddie will now be signing all the books that you've ordered, and I know you guys have got to get back to school. I know everyone watching online has to pack up their things to go home. But thank you once more, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.